week, Ford came to me and they asked if I'd like to join them last minute on their Ford Courier launch. Now, usually when it comes to commercial vehicles, I'd say that it wasn't really my bag. But recently, I covered the all-new Transit Custom over on Alan Motor Group's channel, and it went down really well. And do you know what? I actually quite enjoyed it. So I thought, why not for the new year, I bring a commercial vehicle onto the channel. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you all of the changes and everything you need to know about both the Courier Transit and also the Courier Tourneo. So if you want to find out everything there is to know, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Now, I have to admit, I'm one of those awful people who thought that a transit is just one singular thing. Small transit, big transit, and a few transits in between. I didn't know there was a huge difference between the different models. So let me give you a quick overview of all the different options you can get. The Courier is the most compact van in the lineup. Its smaller footprint offers excellent manoeuvrability in urban areas. For now, the Courier is only available as a single cab configuration for the UK, so if you wanted a double cab, the slightly larger Connect would be your option. The Transit Custom is a versatile mid-size van that strikes a balance between manoeuvrability and cargo space. And lastly, the Transit is the largest van that Ford offer, with a spacious cargo area and a wide range of configurations, including varying roof heights and fully electric drivetrain. The all-new Courier is completely different from the ground up, so it now sits on a new multi-energy platform and it's far bigger than it previously was. The length has been increased quite a lot, the height only by a small amount. But the big deal is that it's moved out of being a B segment vehicle into a C segment vehicle, so it's much larger, and its styling also reflects that. Ford have said that they've taken a lot of inspiration from SUVs, so that means that the new Courier is much higher. It's got a far higher bonnet, and also those lights have been pushed to the outside to give it a wider stance as well. This is to give it a more aggressive feel, almost a more rugged feel. Previously, it looked a lot like the passenger cars, so it looked a lot like a Fiesta, a lot like the old shape Pumas, but this is now completely different. And in my personal opinion, I think this is much more appealing than before. It's a little bit more interesting as well. You get this lovely green paintwork and you also get the contrasting roof if you go for the Tourneo version. Of course, the van is always going to look a little bit more plain, but it still has some really interesting styling that elevates it over its previous generation. Just as with the Tourneo model, the van is beefed up all round, although interestingly, both vehicles will be built alongside the Puma on the production line in Romania. All important figures are up. Load volume is now 2.9 cubic metres. It can carry up to 845 kilograms, and towing is also up by 45% to 1,100 kilograms in the diesel and 1,000 in the petrol. In fact, the rear has grown enough to now accommodate 2 Euro pallets, opposed to the one in previous model. So space, payload and also towing have improved over the outgoing model. Everything which is really important for a commercial vehicle. But Ford haven't just focused on making this bigger and better. They've also focused on making it more aerodynamic as well. And ways that they've done this is by adapting the rear lights. The rear lights are now much slimmer and they're built into the body of the vehicle, making it as aerodynamic as possible. The Tourneo model will initially be offered with a single petrol engine option. It's equipped with Ford's 1-litre 3-cylinder EcoBoost engine, producing 123 brake horsepower. Unlike the Puma variant, the Tourneo Courier does not feature mild hybrid electrification. You can choose between a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, which costs an additional £1,200. For the Transit, both petrol and diesel engines are available. Your choices are a 100 brake horsepower petrol with a 6-speed manual gearbox, a 125 brake horsepower petrol engine with a 7-speed automatic, or a 1.5 litre 100 horsepower diesel with a 6-speed manual. All available engine options deliver a decent amount of performance, although they may not be exceptionally remarkable. Importantly, when carrying a significant payload in the rear, the engine does not feel slower or less responsive. I'm limited about what I can say about the interior of the Courier, especially in its transit version. Of course, it's just a very practical van. It's not revolutionary, but maybe that's a good thing. I actually like the fact that it's got a slightly smaller touchscreen than you get in the Transit and the Transit Custom. It's far more practical and it's much more suited to a commercial vehicle. It also runs Ford's 4Sync product, which means it gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it's wireless. It gets over-the-air updates. It also gets a voice-activated system, which is all really good tech to have. Would it be nice to have physical climate control dials? Absolutely, and it feels like they're missing out of this cabin. It's a little bit stripped back when it comes to this Courier, and I like that about it, and I just wish they'd also put in those physical climate control dials. You've got this quite nice grooved material dashboard, and you've also got a little bit of contrasting grey plastic which breaks up the cabin a little bit, but overall it's pretty dull. But let's face it, that's what you get when you go for a van. I do like the setup though. It's very driver focused. You've got some really nice physical steering wheel controls, and you've got a nice digital dashboard as well. There is a little bit of a funny redundant space in the dashboard, a little bit of plastic, and you may be wondering, what's that for? Well, that, Ford say, is for you to clip your phone on. They say that that's the best position to have your mobile phone. So if you've got one of those air vent clips, you can pop your phone and have it there, which I guess is actually quite a neat feature, especially when their air vents are so low down, so you can have your phone in a visible position rather than having it tucked away and having to take your eyes off of the road. You've got a little bit of storage under here which fits your mobile phone, and that's actually a wireless charging pad in some of the higher spec models. You've got a USB-C and USB charge point, and you've also got a 12-volt charger, which is nice. Down this centre, you've got a few bits of storage, you've also got a couple of cup holders, and you've got a pull-out armrest. Down the side of the centre console, you've also got some storage for documents or a laptop, and there's little bits of storage just scattered around here. So you've got a little bit above the dashboard there for your passengers, you've got a little bit behind the screen, you've also got the storage atop of the dash too, above your head, and you'll find some nice wide door cards as well for storing items in. There's not loads of storage, but then this isn't a huge vehicle. If you needed tons of storage, then you could look at one of the bigger ones. The aim of the Tourneo is to blend together the practicality of a Transit and make it a more family-friendly package, although as you'll see the cabin remains relatively unchanged, sharing the same layout and infotainment. A positive for practicality as the above head storage remains, but it does feel possibly a little plasticky compared to some of its rivals. When developing the Tourneo, Ford put a huge focus on not only space, but also practicality of that space. Saying that though, space is massive. It's actually up 45% on the outgoing model. But as you can see, practicality, well, it's non-comparable when it comes to the old model. This entrance is so wide, and it's also quite low as well. So if you've got wheelchairs that you want to load into the back, or even if you've got dogs, this is going to be fantastic for those. Those clever features are also extended all over the boot. One of those features is this parcel shelf. So it can actually be lifted up and slotted behind the rear seats. So when you're not using it, you don't have to take it out of the vehicle. Once inside, you'll find loads more of these storage solutions. You've got the tether down hooks at the bottom. You've also got little storage hooks for putting your shopping bags on so they don't roll around in the vast boot. You've got little storage cubby holes on the sides. You've also got 12-volt charging. But on this side is the best storage. So you have a little pull-out drawer. And this drawer means that you can store your muddy shoes, football boots, wellies. You can store those in here to stop the rest of the boot getting muddy. And then when you're done with them, you can actually completely take out this cubby hole and you can hose that down, clean that off, and then you can put it back in your car without making everything else dirty. Interestingly, I'm not quite as impressed in the back here as I was expecting to be. Maybe I had my expectations set too high, but don't get me wrong, it does really have its plus points, and one of those is headspace. There is vast amounts of headroom. I mean, it doesn't even fit in the frame of the camera, I've got so much headroom. And these rear windows are really wide as well. They're letting in loads of light. So if you've got children who suffer with car sickness, this is going to help. But the area I'm a little bit disappointed about is actually the width. It's not quite as wide as I was expecting. The outer seats are great, but the middle seat does feel a little bit more cramped than I was thinking. I always go back to saying that lots of people used to buy the Volkswagen Touran because you could get 3 child seats side by side, and that would make perfect sense in this vehicle, and I'm going to have to double check. It doesn't feel like this middle seat is quite wide enough to be able to put 3 child seats, and that's a bit disappointing. It also doesn't have the most amenities in the back here. The door cards are very small. I could think there'd be a lot more storage if you could utilise a vehicle like this. You do, however, get door pockets, and you've also got 2 USB-C charge points, so that's good. And you can kind of use a little bit of the storage from the front seat passengers, but it doesn't go above and beyond. Like I said, maybe I've set my expectations a bit too high. In general, the Ford Courier is quite impressive to drive as either a van or passenger car, and this comes as no surprise considering it shares the same platform as the highly regarded Puma and Fiesta model, both known for their excellent handling capabilities. While there are some specific engineering adjustments for the e-tourneo Courier, such as its unique steering geometry and more robust rear suspension setup to accommodate heavier loads, the overall driving experience feels remarkably similar to its counterparts. The Transit also develops the suspension a little further for even heavier duty work. Both offer a well-balanced ride and handling experience. While there may be some body roll during cornering, the suspension setup effectively handles ruts and potholes. Additionally, despite its aerodynamically shaped front end, the Courier impressively minimalises wind noise, providing a quiet and comfortable driving environment. I think you'll agree that the Courier has undergone a massive transformation, changing for the better in almost every way. It's now far more practical and a lot more thoughtful. But what do you think of that styling? Do you like the looks of the new Courier? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed the video today, guys. If you have, go ahead and give it a massive thumbs up. Want to see more? Then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Plus, if you want to see more commercial vehicles on this channel, then let me know which ones and pop them in the comments. Until next time, see you later.